Moderator Umama, so we have Dr. Jahan will be joining us as well, right? So keep that in mind. Umama?
Dr. Jahan?
Yeah. He just texted me, Dr. Jahan.
Okay.
We have Dr. Jahan here with us. Sir, I'll unmute you. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम वेलकम ऑल कैसे हैं आप सब ठीक ठाक
Bilkul ठीक, sir. Welcome.
when will the speaker starts
Sir, in a while, I have invited Dr. Farooq as well. When he joins, then हम start करेंगे, inshallah.
okay good
Oh, Mama, I think we should wait for like 5 minutes more and then we should start because sir is not replying. and if he joins फिर हम middle में उनको welcome कर लेंगे इंशाल्लाह. So yeah, so you should start.
Okay. In 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to everyone. On behalf of Student Research Committee, Khyber Medical College, Peshawar, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the second session of our national webinar series, Foundations of Research, a Beginner's Pathway. This six-part online course conducted under the supervision of Research Cell KMC is designed to equip new researchers from medical colleges across Pakistan with the skills required to plan, analyze, and publish medical research effectively. Each session in this series is led by SRC affiliated students, mentors, and guest speakers who have demonstrated excellence in the field of undergraduate research. Before we proceed, it is an honor to acknowledge the presence of our respected guest this evening, Dr. Jahan, Chairperson SRC KMC. We sincerely thank you for joining us and for supporting this academic initiative. I am Mama Rahman and I will be the moderator for this session titled Crafting a Research Idea from Topic to Question. The key learning objectives for today's session are to understand how to identify and select a meaningful research topic, to learn how to develop that topic into a focused research question, and to gain basic knowledge of hypothesis formulation. Our speaker for today is Muhammad Awais, a final year medical student at Khyber Medical College, with a particular research focus on high grade brain tumors in both pediatric and adult populations, with an emphasis on therapy resistance. He will guide us through the process of refining a research idea into a well defined question, which serves as the foundation for any successful study. Before we start, I would like to share a few important instructions. Please keep your microphones muted for the smooth conduct of the session. This webinar is being recorded and attendance implies consent. The session will be interactive. Participants may ask questions via the chat box or by raising their hands. Some questions will be addressed during the session, and a dedicated Q&A segment will follow at the end. Kindly use your full name on Zoom for attendance and certificate purposes. Maintain professional and respectful communication throughout the session. With that, I am pleased to hand over the session to Mohammed Awais. Sir, the screen is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much, Umama, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much, Dr. Jahan, for joining. And assalamu alaikum. Uh, so, uh, I'm honored to be here to be one of the presenters in this webinar. To be one of the presenters in webinar series, and I've been giving this presentation, I think, for SRC for the last 4 years, the same hypothesis formulation and asking a research question. So I'm going to quickly go through my presentation because I want to keep it very interactive. तो अगर आप लोग के बीच में ही कोई सवाल है, you can just drop in the chat box. If I see them, I might answer them in between, वरना I'll get to it at the end. ठीक है? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Is my screen visible? Kumar?
Yes,
Is my
Awais,
screen?
it is visible. Yes. It is
Okay, okay, okay. Um, okay. So I know Ahmed has touched upon some of the content of this presentation. For example, the definition of research, the types of research studies, and all that. But today I want to give you another aspect that a medical student should look when it comes to research, right? So it's the same definition which Ahmed had shared, which is research is the systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of data to answer, question, or solve a problem. Now, in this definition, there are a few keywords, right? One of the keyword that I want you guys to focus on is to solve a problem. And this is probably the most important aspect of research. That is, the hierarchy goes like you solve a problem, or you could either answer a particular question related to a bigger problem. And the way that you do it is to systematically collect evidence and analyze and interpret it in the context of the bigger problem or the bigger question that you want to answer. This is another way, or this is, I think, the best way that I could put the what research is in like a medicine context, and which is important, and I would say why in the next few slides. Generally, research is classified in multiple ways, like on the basis of the source of information, on the basis of the type of data used, on the basis of the techniques used, on the basis of the field that you are in. There are multiple classification of research, but for here in this webinar, we're going to focus on two, because I think like it is related to formulation of a question, which is research is classified based on the source of information into two types, that is primary and secondary researches. And on the type of data used, it is classified into qualitative and quantitative researches. So what is primary research? Primary research basically refers to a type of research where you go to the direct source of information and collect data from the source. So there is no processing. What you collect is called raw data. You, for example, अगर आप लोग किसी भी domain में काम कर रहे हैं, I would give an example of neurology, for example. Instead of going and looking around through papers, you directly go to the patient in the neurology clinic or ward. When the source of information is that, it is called primary research. ठीक है? There's another way where, so it could either be through interviews, you go to the person, or you could go to the chart, and it's still primary research. Basically अगर किसी ने इसको analyze बीच में नहीं किया हुआ, और आप पहले you're the first person to analyze it, that pertains primary research. Secondary research is when you look at analyzed data. Analyzed data can be in the form of databases, they can be in the form of research papers, they can be in the form of like systematic reviews पहले जो हुए, but they like something that is in not in raw form, उसको clean करके उसको उस पे a bunch of statistical tests run करके जब when people put it out there, it becomes secondary data, and your research becomes secondary research. ठीक है? I've already explained secondary, right? So what is the difference between these two? The primary research is first-hand data. Secondary research is data from a previous study. ठीक है? The data that you get from primary research is called raw data because there is a bunch of noise there, a bunch of things that may be misinterpreted, वगैरह. In secondary research, the data is analyzed and filtered. So all you get is like true signal from the data. ठीक है? Here, the other difference is like primary research is a bit expensive, it's time consuming, whereas secondary research is comparatively time saving and inexpensive. ठीक है? One point is the data meets requirement. Like in primary research, it's up to you, like whatever data you want, you can go and directly collect it. Whereas if you think about secondary data, आप epilepsy देखना चाह रहे, but epilepsy में maybe the duration of seizure, लेकिन it's not necessary कि आपको इस तरह का data मिलेगा. So the data may not be up to your requirement. That is the differences between primary and secondary researches. Then comes another form of research, which is on the basis of type of data used, which is दो तरह के data use हो सकते हैं. One is numerical data, and the other is wordy data. That's how I would put it. ठीक है? So when it's numerical, when the results are expressed in numerical outputs and graphs and numbers, that is called quantitative research. ठीक है? And this method is to describe variables and to examine relationship amongst variables or इस तरह का. ठीक है? So for example, if you want to find the correlation between association or anything between BMI and cardiac disease, for example, तो आपको numbers मिलेंगे इसमें. ठीक है? But if you want to find about quality of life, कि अच्छा, how does cardiac disease affect their mental health or their general way of work, occupation वगैरह, तो the data that you would get is going to be like interviews form में कि कोई कहेगा कि no, I get tired वगैरह. You can theoretically say कि इतने number of times participants said tired, the word tired, but generally the idea of qualitative is non-numerical or results expressed in words. ठीक है? Qualitative research ज़्यादातर use होता है hypothesis generation के लिए, because if there's like an unknown field, ठीक है, so you go there, आप एक intervention हो रहा है कहीं पे, for example, well, same example I'm going to use as obesity and occupational health. ठीक है? Occupational the effect on occupation. So if you don't know what you're looking for, आपको नहीं पता कि what exactly should my hypothesis be, so you do a qualitative study first. You go, you do interviews, आपको pattern नजर आना start हो जाते हैं, and then you go to a quantitative study and you try to find the exact in numbers. You try to say कि अच्छा exactly क्या क्या हुआ था. I hope that makes sense. This is the difference between quantitative and qualitative researches. So again, comparison table इसमें यही है कि qualitative research answers the question why, and quantitative is how much or how many. The data types are numbers and symbols in quantitative, and it's symbols and words and expressions in qualitative. ठीक है. Then statistical analysis is used in quantitative, whereas like there are no specific statistical analysis in qualitative, and you can look at the table here. So this was some general information about the types of researches and all that. But the question that I get most of the time is, how do we come up with an idea, like a research question, वगैरह? And this is the point that I want to revisit the original definition of research. That is, to the like your research quality is directly dependent on the quality of the problem that you are trying to solve. So instead of thinking this way, okay, I have to find a research topic, you have to find a problem that you want to solve. I hope that makes sense. And in order, and the way that you try to find a problem, because the in Pakistan, like the hospitals are full of problem. We are lucky in that regard, is that we can easily find problems and kind of solve them and have an impact directly on patients. Okay. So the way that you do it is, first of all, you have to select a domain that interests you. ठीक है. तो domain की ये definition होती है कि what is it that I would be not get bored of. ठीक है. And it is directly related to the specialty that attracts you the most. For example, if you think that, oh, I think cardiology is very interesting, so that is your domain. ठीक है. Or if you think that, oh, I want to know in public health, so that is your domain. Or it could be, for me it was neurosurgery, so that was my domain. ठीक है. The first thing is, अच्छा, where do I want to solve a problem? ठीक है. किस वार्ड में, किस डोमेन में I want to find the problem and solve it. Yeah, answer a question. But the problem aspect would help you make a better hypothesis actually. ठीक है. Anyway, so you select a domain that interests you. ठीक हो गया. Then out of the domain you choose a specific area. Giving an example of neurosurgery and neurology again, the neurosurgery there are multiple domains, multiple specific areas: spine, trauma, brain tumors, functional disorders, just epilepsy and all that. There are pediatric, there's a bunch of other stuff, congenital malformation. There are many different specific areas. So you go to the hospital and you see, oh, let me see what specific area I want to work on. Again, the same reason, okay, I don't want to get bored before the end of my study. Okay. And actually like be passionate about solving that problems, and that would come when you go to the hospital and look कि patients किधर ज़्यादा suffer कर रहे या उनको मसले कहाँ पे आ रहे. ठीक है. Okay, so that is the specific area in that domain. And then you ask a research question. Imagine you find a problem and you say, okay, uh, but why is it not this way? This is a research question. ठीक है. Why is something done this way and not the other way around? Or the question could be, how will this affect this? Or what if I change this part with this? These are research questions. And once you identify the problem in that specific domain, the asking a research question gets easier, right? So this is how you narrow the topic further, the problem like aspect further, and you ask a research question, and then it comes the most important step. Like you have done all that, the most important step is not wasting your time. Ensure that the knowledge gap has not been previously answered in the literature. See, I tell this very often कि हम अपने आप को सेटिस्फाई करने के लिए क्या कर देते हैं कि ओ आई वांट टू लुक एट इन केपीके population. That might be so a certain thing might be true, like very different in KBK population rather than the world, yeah, in Pakistani population rather than the world, but that is not always the case. So yeah, so if you think like you have to use your best judgment here, you have to make sure you do not waste your time by reinventing the wheel. If that question has been answered in the literature before, you go to your the department head and say कि सर मैंने ये देखा है कि इन लोगों ने ये किया and they have like great success with it. I think the patient are facing this problem, we should solve it this way, or at least try and then assess it कि अच्छा क्या जो उन्होंने like west की population में उन्होंने जो इस तरह का solve किया है, will it work the same way here or not? That is one way. ठीक है, because again initially आप लोगों का वो क्या था, that was solving a problem rather than doing research, which is the essence of the research portion के you solve a problem or answer a question. ठीक है, so the most important aspect I'm going to repeat is ensure, absolutely ensure that the knowledge gap has not been previously answered or like looked at. If it has been looked at, find a new problem to solve. No questions asked. ठीक है, क्योंकि impact is much more important than getting a study done. ठीक है, okay. Then comes considering the practical aspects required for responding to a question through the research process. So the practical aspects, I don't really believe in them. Of course, like there are certain practical aspects जो कि आपको consider करने होते हैं. लेकिन the way the medical student community is going and the amount of focus that medical schools are focusing on, the amount of focus on research that medical schools are focusing on, funding आजकल available होती है. If you know, even if a study is a little bit expensive, you can apply to grant. So this practical aspects में कुछ चीजें ऐसी होगी कि नहीं, you should see if it is like expensive या उसमें पैसे लग रहे तो don't go for it. We will look into it further. But this is the general way of formulating, like asking, like formulating a hypothesis, if you say, like if you will. Yeah, selecting a domain, choosing a specific area, asking a research question, and the most important is ensuring absolutely that knowledge gap has not been previously answered because your time is very important. Take it, and then considering the practical aspects of it. Here's an example जो कि मैं बहुत डिटेल में जा चुका हूँ, but this is an example. So you start off with a brainstorming session to see what topic is best for you, what would interest you the most. So brainstorming plus going to the hospital plus looking at literature. ठीक है, मतलब this is how the first aspect like works. You have to read, you have to go, you have to look at problems, you have to experience it in order to, क्योंकि अगर आप ये step नहीं करेंगे तो you would end up with cliche topics, and the cliche topics nowadays is mental health, social media, knowledge, attitude, practices, stuff like that. So yeah, stuff that might not be as impactful. So the first step is actually going out there and brainstorming and looking at problems, having that exposure. Okay. And people might say, oh, we are in first year and second year, nobody's stopping you to go to the hospital. Okay. You can request the HOD or any of the professors, okay, oh, can I see, can you like guide me, कि मैं मुझे like कहाँ पे like ज़्यादा problems, like can I like shadow or something, इस तरह. to come up with a research topic, and they would be more than willing to accommodate you. ठीक है? Then, as I said, get specific. You don't want your final topic to get broad, वरना you will lose focus. ठीक है? So, like, be like super specific. Like, if it's hydrocephalus, like, I would say, like, you can divide it into communicating and non-communicating hydrocephalus, yeah, peds, yeah, adult. Like, be as specific as possible. And in that area, you ask a research question. ठीक है? So, what is a research question? It is a specific inquiry which the research seeks to provide a response to. ठीक है, मैंने बताया how, what, how much, what if. So yeah, you just put in that before the problem, and that's your research question. ठीक है. How does MI present in diabetic patients? How does hormone therapy contribute to ectopic pregnancy? These are research questions, very simple. And then you hit literature. So a lot of people in the beginning of their research careers, yeah, research exposure, उनको नहीं पता होता कि what are the parts of a research article और हमने पढ़ना कैसे एक research article, which is I think very important that you should know कि आपको what are the parts that are important for you to read and what are the parts that you could ignore. ठीक है, initially at least. So the parts of a research article are the title, abstract, introduction, materials, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and reference and citation. ठीक है. So what you do, normally the best way to go it is doing a PubMed literature search. लेकिन अगर आपको systematically, it is I think like a wastage of time अगर आप हर दफा एक नए टॉपिक में you go and do a PubMed literature search. ठीक है? Like it takes a lot of time. The best way or the time efficient way is to just Google it. ठीक है? Like just say your research question and put in a journal name. For example, Nature Journal. ठीक है? या Cell या Science या इस तरह का कोई अच्छा high impact journal. And if you see a paper on it, drop the topic. But before, yeah, don't like immediately drop the topic. Like you have to go read the paper first. But yeah, but if you see a paper, be skeptical. Like start questioning yourself. कि अच्छा impactful होगा, मतलब nature में publish हो चुका है, कितने ही में difference ले आऊँगा and stuff like that, right? Anyway, so you first look at the title. मतलब जो titles आ रहे, ठीक है? And if you feel कि this title like resonates with you, you go and look at the abstract, which is the miniature version of the paper and summarizing all the important aspects of it. ठीक है? And once you go through the abstract and you still are interested, acha, so this is relevant to me, you go and read the introduction. So normally introduction में तीन parts होते हैं. It is like a global context, a specific context for the particular disease, and a review of what they did in the paper. Normally introduction में ये चीजें होती है. So yeah, so they introduce the disease, they introduce the methodology, they introduce their hypothesis, and then a short आखिरी paragraph में होता है कि हमने ये किया है. ठीक है? So once you read that, and if it is like you're still involved, you wanna like कि अच्छा this paper is interesting, जो मेरा problem है वो इससे solve हो सकता है, you go keep on reading, you go straight to the discussion section. ठीक है? अच्छा, I'm gonna skip this for now. You go to a discussion section क्योंकि discussion section में actually उसकी study की limitations होती है, conclusions होते हैं, context, research context होता है कि अच्छा लोगों ने इस पे और क्या काम किया, and you can actually snowballing का मतलब ये होता है कि आपको discussion में कोई इस तरह का sentence मिल जाए which is more interesting, तो आप उसके reference में जाके और उसी तरह का knowledge gain कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? So the next important aspect is discussion and conclusion of course. Discussion and conclusion. If you see कि अच्छा जो आपका प्रॉब्लम है या जो आपने like research question वो किया है, it is not sufficiently answered, या पाकिस्तानी context या आपके hospital context में it is not 100% true or not 75% true, because 75% is a good number. So then you go to the materials and method section to see कि इन्होंने ये study conduct कैसे किया, and on the basis of that you design your own study. ठीक है? So it gets easier once you go this way, instead of like coming coming up with everything from scratch. You go find a good study. If it does not solve your problem, you replicate that in your setting with, of course, like tweaking कि आपका जो specific question है वो answer हो जाए, like so tweaking the methodology a bit और इस तरह. ठीक है? um Results, I never so these her journal का different style होता है. Some have the discussions, the methodology and the results like combined. So chalo, of course, then you read the results. लेकिन results में there's like a bunch of stats में होता है कि अच्छा हमने ये टेस्ट रन किया था methodology में, उसका ये result है, उसका ये, इसका ये. So it's just graphs and tables which are important. तो result में you look at the graph and table कि इन्होंने मतलब क्या क्या, what were the demographics, क्या इन्होंने, what were the interventions, like what was in the study, that you get from the results. Lekin you do not need to read everything, every section of a paper, like for every paper. ठीक है? This is the way that you go when you do like literature review. Okay. Once आपने गूगल सर्चेस कर लिए and you find के अच्छा I think के my जो hypothesis या my research question might actually be worth my time to chase, you do a formal literature search जिसमें वही वाला वो keywords वाला boolean operators, and you try कि PubMed में कितने articles आए, you screen them, and then you do a deep literature search, और उस तरह you go that pathway in order to be absolutely sure कि वो research gap like answer नहीं हुआ. ठीक है? So this is how I go about it. um, uh, then comes like the selecting the research topic, which there are certain practical aspects to selecting the research topic, which is relevance. Of course, you want, अगर मेरा interest neurosurgery में है, मैंने आगे neurosurgery में जाना है, like I'm like 90% sure I probably do not want to work in some other domain, क्योंकि आगे जाके if your research focus is something different than what you apply in residency या इस तरह, that might actually hurt you instead of like helping you, unless you have like a very strong reason. ठीक है? This is another very important वही वाली चीज. I think the theme is like repetitive here, which is to avoid duplication and plagiarism. You have no idea what the research culture in Pakistan is. There is a bunch of fake data, duplication and plagiarism, and it is very common in medical students as well. ठीक है? So you should be very honest, like take academic dishonesty like to like you should like feel it. Okay, this what academic dishonesty is. You don't want to plagiarize or duplicate or like fake data just पे कोई doctor like decision ले and hurt patient that hurts you. ठीक है? uh, feasibility is important. अब इस पे my कुछ comments would be like, if you find like a study जो कि बहुत high impact होगी, feasibility में there is like a bunch of things ना. For example, if you need like MRIs, but MRIs are expensive, so you probably would not be able to conduct that study fully. So what I would suggest is to conduct like a part of it and a part of it when you get the funding and stuff. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे there's a concept के you need to show preliminary data. सही है? तो वो आपके literature review में भी हो जाता है, लेकिन you can definitely come up with alternatives. सही है? जो कि आपकी study को more feasible बनाए. ठीक है? And then you can score a higher one by getting like good grants and stuff. Political acceptability, I put it just for the sake of completion. political and religious acceptability दोनों अच्छा there is no religious acceptability ये काफी होता है. I don't think this is much of a problem KP में, लेकिन with the world moving towards modernization and all that, so वहाँ पे फिर आ जाता है कि political and religious acceptability, you have to keep that in mind as well. Applicability is very important कि what the जो initial problem solve करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे आप, is it like even applicable in your setting, like will it cost more money, will it cost less money, like is it actually solving the problem, will it be applicable after you're done, would you is your study strong enough कि आप जाके ना अपनी supervisor या उनको बता सके कि सर हमने ये study की है and I think this is how it should change, and they go and change the practice. So this is this is the practical applicability aspect of the research topic. Cost effectiveness वही feasibility में आ जाता है. Timelines. Uh, so here comes the discussion of quantity versus quality. So I'm of the opinion कि quality matters more. लेकिन यहाँ पे आने के बाद I have realized कि quantity also matter. So you have to look at your own timelines. कि what do you want like it to be? So if you are like aiming for a very high quality, impactful research topic, it's gonna take you years. My research took me 3 years. I just have one publication out of it. That's it. Okay. So the timelines, it is like a very personal decision. Honestly, if my opinion is to going for like high impact quality papers rather than publishing a bunch of case reports and stuff which are easy to publish like in would not take you anywhere, like you're just writing exercise hai, bas angrezi achhi ho rahi hai and stuff like that, right? So it's very important that you look कि आपको क्या चाहिए and decide कि timelines को किस तरह वो करना है, right? Then comes ethical consideration. Again, the most important aspect of selecting a research topic. Another problem that I've seen, okay, like if you want to test the sensitivity of uh, of a maybe a new hematological test, तो पेशेंट को एक्स्ट्रा टेस्ट लिख देते हैं और उसको फिर वो करने लग जाते हैं, लाइक द मनी कम्स आउट ऑफ द पेशेंट पॉकेट एंड दे मिस यूज इट, कहते हैं कि अच्छा दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट वगैरह, इंस्टेड ऑफ बीइंग ट्रांसपेरेंट अबाउट इट. तो द एथिकल कंसिडरेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है. So okay, this was the last slide, but before I go on, I'm going to take this opportunity, like 5 more minutes, to like demystify like a bunch of myths जो कि आ चुके हैं हमारे medical school में when it comes to research. And one of them is the idea of high level of research जिसको like these big companies like say sell their products या अपना course बेचने के लिए कहते हैं कि systematic review is the best form of research that you can do and all that. ठीक है. I beg to differ. You should all recognize what a market at this point in your lives, what a marketing tactic is. Okay. You should value your time, and this is very relevant to choosing a research topic and having an impact when it comes to solving a problem and from problem to topic selection. The highest form of research is generating new quality data. That is the highest form of research. कि लोग उसकी बेस पे डिसीजन ले सके इन योर कॉन्टेक्स्ट. ठीक है. नथिंग बीट्स दैट. हाँ, क्वालिटी ऑफ डाटा किस तरह जनरेट होता है, दैट इज उसके फिर कैटेगरीज आ जाते हैं. क्लिनिकल डाटा इज द बेस्ट, लाइक वेरी हाई क्वालिटी डाटा. बट कोहोर्ट डाटा वो like registries, making registries and a bunch of other stuff, that is still high quality data. ठीक है. So highest form of research is generating new data and solving a problem. Highest form of evidence is of course a systematic review या meta analysis से जो वो आ जाता है. But you have to realize at this stage of your life, अगर आप इस एक ड्रग पे रिसर्च करते हो, लाइक उस पे एक सिस्टमैटिक रिव्यू या मेटा एनालिसिस लिखते हो, what are the chances कि वो practice changing हो? I would say कि pretty slim. ठीक है, क्योंकि the reason is कि उस पे already एक high quality systematic review publish हो चुकी होगी, and you are just reinventing the wheel. उस पे थोड़े से tweaks करके to get your publication number up. हाँ, if you genuinely think कि एक topic पे systematic review या meta analysis नहीं हुआ and it's like a dire need of the field that कि अगर मैं ये कर लूँ तो हो जाएगा, like the practice would change, go for it. If not, I think that the best way would be to generate data from our region कि जिस पे जिसको like हम analyze करके उस पे systematic reviews कर सके instead of just reusing the west वाला data. Okay, so when it comes to impact and formulating and solving problems, one of the thing, okay, see, we can't solve what we don't know. ठीक है ना? So you can contribute to the first step, which is telling us what's the problem. So yeah. So trying to make registries when you go to the ward, ठीक है, okay, try to collect as much of the data as possible, उसको एक systematic and clean तरीके से store करे, सही है, and you just every month, once you have like every 6 months, you can publish a new paper out of it. ठीक है कि अच्छा इनिशियली ये था, उनको हमने 6 मंथ फॉलो अप किया, ये रिजल्ट्स आए, आफ्टर 1 ईयर हमने ये भी देखा, ये देखा, like you can, the amount of opportunity that you would have with primary data and the amount of impact that would create is much more than systematic reviews. But again, it's a person's choice. I would, like, from the things that I've seen and experienced, I think primary research is valued more because अगर आप systematic review को choose करते हैं, there are 500 more people who are doing the same thing. सही है? So that does not set you apart. But if you go and choose, like, go collect primary data and like help out the consultants figure out कि क्या चल रहा है, I think that is much more impactful and that sets you apart. That being said, this is the end of my talk, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have got. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Thank you so much, Awais. Now, moving on to the Q&A session. If anyone has any questions, they can raise their hands. You can type your question in the chat box. Awais, we had one question that was left unanswered.
Uh-huh.
What if we are still unsure about our specialty? We may pursue but still want to do researches. What should we do?
So, okay. Some people are lucky that they get to know about their specialty early on. That is the ideal situation. If you don't know, तो आपको ये चीजें like simultaneously चलानी होती है. See, you have to, in medical school, you have to figure out, okay, what you actually want to. And one of the ways that you do is through research, actually. I would not believe the idea कि एक बंदे को बिल्कुल ही idea नहीं है कि उन्होंने आगे क्या करना है. Like there must be a slight, attraction to one specialty than rather than other, and that is what you use. Like if you like something better than the other, just go for it. I think that would be a way to go around it. And this way, when you get to know more about the specialty, you would also know, through research and all, you would also know कि अच्छा मैंने ये करना है कि नहीं. I hope that answered it. So I see it. How can one differentiate between a research question and a research hypothesis? So hypothesis is just the scientific way of putting in a research question. तो आप उसको बस थोड़ा सा tweak करते हो and it becomes a hypothesis. Like it's a grammatical structure. That's it. दोनों में सिर्फ grammatical structure का difference है. Both of them are the same.
Do we have any more questions? Okay. I think there aren't any more questions. Do we end the session, Awais?
One second, I'm going through it. यहाँ पे किसी ने पूछा है कि
One more question, yeah.
will like the senior doctors like have like listen to what you say? Actually, yes. Like it's my personal experience ke when I go to a neurosurgery ward, like they listen to me because like if I say like oh like different यहाँ पे इस तरह होता है and research says इस तरह, they're like अच्छा दिखाओ, and when I send them the paper, they read it and they change their practice. So yeah, they would listen to you if you know what you're talking about. Opinion regarding CDC. Again, there is secondary data. ठीक है, so secondary data में it's just a practice. अभी मैं my opinion about systematic review, CDC, ये जो सब कुछ चल रहा है ना, it's just like practice. You are just practicing maths, practicing Revman कैसे use करना है. I honestly don't think you are changing practice. ठीक है, मतलब इट्स जस्ट अ न्यू, आप बस दोनों दुनिया को दिखा रहे हो कि अच्छा 10 साल में ये हुआ है, दैट्स इट. लाइक नोबडी इज गोना चेंज द प्रैक्टिस आफ्टर इट एंड एनीबॉडी कैन डू इट. ठीक है, तो दिस डज नॉट लाइक सेट्स यू अपार्ट. व्हाट सेट्स यू अपार्ट कि अगर आप ये कहो कि मैंने 1 साल में या 2 साल में अपनी न्यूरोसर्जरी या कार्डियोलॉजी वार्ड में इतना डाटा कलेक्ट किया है, ये मुझे एक जरा यूनिक चीज नजर आई है जो कि नजर नहीं आई यूएस पॉपुलेशन में या वट एवर. ठीक है, या मतलब हम इस तरह करते हैं और ये इतनी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स है. लाइक वही वाली बात के यू कांट सॉल्व व्हाट यू डोंट नो. ठीक है, तो दैट सेट्स यू अपार्ट. जनरेटिंग दैट न्यू नॉलेज, analyzing knowledge is the easier part. Generating new knowledge, yeah. The best original study that you would suggest, that see it depends. Abhi I just went through it ke it's just depends on the problem. Like it depends on your personal, what problem is more important to you. The problem that I'm working on is intraoperative. Like I realized कि अगर मैं intraoperative surgeon को बता सकूं कि कौन सा brain tumor है, तो they would actually change their surgery. ठीक है, और अगर किसी patient में benign tumor, like relatively benign tumor है, they would stop their surgery before hurting more normal brain. ठीक है, so that is what I'm working on. I'm trying to come up with a way. So see, like original study, like there is no best original study. It's like what problem are you solving? Original review article, literature review, it's important for your knowledge generation. ठीक है, so if I want to work on something, some big project, and I go and like और किसी रिव्यू में वो आंसर नहीं हुआ, सही है, like you have a question and no review is answering it, you go and write a review to answer it for yourself and the world. So yes, you should go for review articles. So okay, great question. There are two ways. ठीक है, one way is that you use one variable. ठीक है, और आप उसी के specific data collect करना start कर दो. सही है. The other way is through registries. Registries में क्या होता है कि you try to collect as much as possible and then blindly और उसके बाद आप research question पूछते हो कि अच्छा मेरे पास ये डाटा है, तो ये कैसे correlate होगा, ये कैसे होगा, ये like ratio क्या है, ये सारा कुछ. ठीक है, तो this is how this is the difference between having a set variables in mind और जाके डाटा collect करना और like collecting like registry type data and then finding patterns in that. ठीक है. Overly broad, good question. Overly broad में ये होता है कि you get confused a lot. ठीक है, और आपको high quality data नहीं मिलता in a way कि for example like you would not get every single data point. जब अगर मैं मतलब सब कुछ ही देखना चाहूँ तो हर patient का every single data point नहीं होगा. Too narrow question is actually not a bad idea. ठीक है, applicability का थोड़ा सा issue होगा, right? But too narrow question will actually make your research unique. तो अगर आप एक स्पेसिफिक सब ग्रुप या पॉपुलेशन देखते हो विद इन अ डिजीज स्टेज, लाइक जैसे कि मैंने बताया एडल्ट पीड्स, एडल्ट में फिर मेन एंड women अलग से देखते हो, सो दैट वुड एक्चुअली मेक योर रिसर्च यूनिक, क्योंकि जो आजकल डिसीजन होता है ना, इट्स वेरी सब ग्रुप बेस्ड. इस पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप में इस तरह का पेशेंट आए तो इसका उसका उनका उनका मैनेजमेंट डिफरेंट होता है देन समथिंग एल्स. सो या.
Are there any more questions? Okay, Awais, I don't think so. There are any more questions. We
Perfect.
can
I'm dropping
session.
my email in the chat box. If you have any more questions, you can just email me here. Okay.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We have Dr. Jihan, chairperson of SSC. Dr. Jihan, you can hear me. Would you like to add any words? Assalamu alaikum. I was listening every bit of Awais webinar. I was remembering Awais when he was in first year, and he was coming to us in a department for different projects, IFM essay and stuff like that. And he had the same smile which I'm looking right now in his final year, mashallah. Very up to point presentation, topic selection, कैसे करते हैं सारे पॉइंट्स इन्होंने बता दिए. फिर रिसर्च क्वेश्चन क्या है, इट्स अ प्रॉब्लम जिसका आंसर आप ढूंढते हो रिसर्च में, आपको वो आंसर मिल जाता है, दैट इज अ रिसर्च क्वेश्चन. और किसी ने पूछा फिर हाइपोथेसिस क्या होती है, जिस तरह उन्होंने बड़ा अच्छा जवाब दे दिया अवेश ने कि ग्रामेटिकली उसका ही दो चीजें होती हैं, लाइक नल हाइपोथेसिस एंड अल्टरनेट हाइपोथेसिस, या इसका कोई फर्क नहीं होगा दो चीजों में, 10 चीजों में, या कोई चीज होगी. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल मैं कहूँ सेफ्ट्रैक जोन इफेक्टिव है अगेंस्ट सम बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन और सेफ्ट्रैक जोन इफेक्टिव नहीं होगा. तो जब दो फिक्रे होंगे इसको हम हाइपोथेसिस कहते हैं, विच इज अ टेस्टेबल टेस्टेबल सेंटेंसेस. सो दिस इज द simplest difference I must say. एंड एक फिक्रा में जो मैं जरूर करूंगा, डिस्क्रिप्टिव स्टडीज leads to the formation of hypothesis while in analytical study we test the hypothesis. अगर आप कोई डिस्क्रिप्टिव स्टडी कर रहे हैं तो you will not write hypothesis, एंड अगर आप कोई भी एनालिटिकल स्टडी कर रहे हैं तो यू मस्ट राइट हाइपोथेसिस. सो मैंने ट्राई किया कि क्वेश्चन आंसर अपनी तरफ से भी जवाब दूं अवेश का काम कम हल्का करने के लिए. उमामा वेरी गुड, शाबाश. और हमारे जो माशाल्लाह प्रेसिडेंट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट एसआरसी हैं, doing their level best. Whole, I am proud of whole team SRC as a whole. I'm with you. जो टाइम नहीं हुआ था मैं जल्दी जल्दी अपने आप को रैप कर दिया था कि हमारा वो हो रहा है, मैसेज करेंगे कब शुरू हो रहा है. आई वाज विद यू, आई विल बी विद यू इंशाल्लाह. आई विल बी वेटिंग फॉर जो 2 दिन बाद है हमारा, वो भी होगा. ठीक है. ऑल द बेस्ट फ्रॉम माय साइड. शाबाश. आई एम प्राउड ऑफ यू.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our second session, the Foundation of Research series. We extend our sincere gratitude to Muhammad Awais for his informative session, to our honored guests for their presence, and to all participants for joining us live today. Our next session will take place on 5th of August 2025 at 3 p.m. titled Proposal Writing and Ethical Approval Made Simple, and will be conducted by Dr. Sundar Huma, Dr. Sunya Shah, and Dr. Anusha Azhar. This session will focus on structuring a research proposal, conducting a literature review, and applying for ethical approval through IREB. We look forward to welcoming you all again. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Awais. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Awais, for joining us. Allah Hafiz. Thank you, Mama. Allah Hafiz, sir.